there! Thank you so much for joining me today. This is Julie DiMatteo from thepaperpixie.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the US, and in this video tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make this adorable Follow Your Art shadow box frame. It's the sweetest little frame that sits upright on your desktop or on a mantle. It's a great thing to give to someone as a gift. And as crafters, I absolutely love this suite of products. So let me show you how to make this. We're going to use a full sheet of Pacific Point cardstock, and you're going to cut off a 2.5-inch strip from the 11-inch side of cardstock. So you're left with a piece that's 2.5 by 8.5 and a piece that's 8.5 by 8.5. So we're going to use the whole sheet of cardstock. I'm going to put this strip to the side, and with the 8.5-inch square piece, we're going to score this on all four sides at 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1.5, and 2. I'm just going to work my way around and repeat those measurements on all four sides. Then we're going to score on opposite sides. It doesn't matter where you start because this is a square piece of cardstock, but we're going to score it 2.5 inches only down to the second horizontal score line and 6 inches down to the second horizontal score line. Then I'm going to rotate this 180 degrees, and we'll do the same measurements, 2.5 stopping at the second score line and 6 stopping at the second score line. Then I'm going to bring in our 2.5 by 8.5 inch strip, and we're going to score this at 1 inch, 2 inch, 5 inches, and 8 inches. Okay, with the square piece, we're going to go ahead and fold and burnish on all the score lines. All right, now I'm going to bring in a template because we're going to start to cut away some sections. Now I like to start with the side where we have the two short score lines. I'm going to bring in my paper snips. I actually like to cut on the back side of the paper. And I'm going to cut up 4 score lines in and 4 score lines up. We're going to do that first. And then 3 score lines in, 4 score lines up. We're going to kind of create this weird long strip, like so. Then I'm going to go ahead and remove 4 score lines in this entire corner rectangle, like this. Then we're going to remove 3 of the 4 sections here to be left with a little square tab. Now I'm just going to come in and notch that little tab, like so. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing to the opposite section. So again, I like to flip it over, easier for me to see my score lines. Coming in 4 score lines, cutting up 4. Then coming in 3 and then cutting up 4. I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees, remove this section. Again, I'm going 4 score lines in, removing that piece, and then just leaving behind this one little square. It's going to be a tab. And I'll just come in and notch that tab. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side. Again, the side with the short score lines. I'm going to go ahead and repeat the same steps. Now that part is complete. Then I'm going to come in and cut up those little short score lines. I'm just going to cut up all 4 of them. And then this is where we're going to start to create our little diagonal cuts to create this really cool frame look. So all I'm going to do is, let me show you on the template. I'm going to cut from this 3rd score line down on the diagonal up to the 2nd score line down. Just kind of move that tab out of the way, like so. And I like to kind of flip the paper so that I'm always cutting in this direction. So that's one side. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Now our piece looks like the template. So it's time to start putting our shadow box together. All right, so I'm going to use tear and tape to put this shadow box frame together, and I'm going to run tear and tape along all 4 of the outside sections, but I'm lining up the tear and tape up to the score line, not the edge of the cardstock. So I'm going to go ahead and do that on all 4 sections. Then I'm also going to put a little piece of tear and tape on each of these tabs, again right up to the score line. And then I'm going to flip the cardstock over and we're going to place a little piece of tear and tape right along that little diagonal edge. Like that. We'll do that to all 4 of those diagonals. All right, then I just kind of burnish those down so it's easier to get that backing off of them. And I'm just going to use my take your pick tool and remove the backing off all those pieces. Now you can do this in stages if you prefer, but I like to kind of knock this all out at once. Okay, so we're going to start with the longer edges, not the ones with the diagonals. And I'm going to fold on the 1st and 3rd score line and press that down flat. Okay, we're using our score lines to line that up. Do the same thing, folding on the 1st and 3rd score lines and pressing flat. Okay, now we're going to adhere the tabs to create the corners of the shadow box. We're going to line up this score line with this cut edge and just work our way around. And then the last piece is I'm going to then fold this edge and kind of tuck it into the back before we roll it into place. So I've made sure that it's not going to push back any further. Then I'm going to start to roll it down and at the same time kind of push in the corners here to square up the corners of our shadow box frame. So there's one side, turn it around. Again, I'm just kind of rolling that inside. We want this cut edge to be pushed up against the back wall before we press it down into place. And then as I press it down, I'm also kind of bringing in those corners. There is the basics of the shadow box. Now with the kickstand, we're going to go ahead and fold. I'm going to fold backwards on this first 1-inch score line. We'll fold and burnish. The rest of them I'll fold the normal way. Then I'm going to put a strip of tear and tape along this little 1/2-inch section of the kickstand, again right up to the score line. And then what we can do is fold that little 1/2 inch down, kind of doing this little zigzag here, and then pressing this, we're lining it up like so. So that's the basics of the kickstand. Now I like to have the seam on the outside, so the side the kickstand lands on. So the opposite side of the seam is where I'm going to put the liquid glue. I'm just going to use the multi-purpose glue here. And then you just want to make sure that you've got your shadow box in the right direction before we adhere the kickstand down. So this is the diagonal piece that we folded down, considering that the top or the opposite side can be the top, either way. Flip that over, and then I'm going to adhere the kickstand to the bottom of the back. The liquid glue gives you a little bit of wiggle room here, and I'm just centering it from left to right and then pressing into place. You can press from the back for a little bit, and then I like to flip it over and then press from the front. And then we've got that cute little kickstand here, no waste of cardstock, and it's going to stand up like a little frame. So let's get to decorating. Okay, so I've got a piece of crushed curry that measures 3 3/8 by 3 3/8. I have a piece of Calypso coral that measures 3 1/8 by 3 1/8. And I have a piece of Follow Your Art designer series paper that measures 3 inches by 3 inches. And these three are going to layer nicely on top of each other, so I'm going to go ahead and glue those together. And then the inside of this shadow box is actually 3 1/2 inches by 3 1/2 inches. So by cutting that crushed curry to 3 3/8 by 3 3/8, it gives us a little bit of wiggle room in there. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this down to the inside of the shadow box frame. Okay, now let's continue to do some embellishing. We're going to be using the It Starts With Art bundle, and that's the It Starts With Art stamp set, which I absolutely love. We're going to use the sentiment, "You paint my world with happiness," as well as the stamp set for our coloring tools, the watercolor pencils, the Stampin' Write markers, and the Stampin' blends. And it comes bundled with the arts and crafts set of dies. I love these. We're also going to be using the Stitch Labels dies, one of the circle labels, and then the layering circles as well. So first I'm going to stamp the coloring tools in Pacific Point onto Coastal Cabana. Then I'm going to stamp the sentiment in Calypso Coral onto Whisper White. And then we're going to die cut those using the Arts and Crafts set of dies and the layering circles. And we're also going to cut out a piece of Pacific Point with the Stitch Labels dies, and with Blushing Bride, the Arts and Crafts dies for these cute little sequins. All right, now all those pieces are cut. I'm gonna bring in the shadow box here, and we're gonna put this together. So first I'm gonna take liquid glue and adhere the sentiment to the Pacific Point piece. Then I've got this little tiny sequin, the smallest of the sequin trio in the Arts and Crafts dies. I love how it not only cuts, but it also embosses. I'm just going to put a teeny amount of glue on the back of there. And using the putty end of the Take Your Pick tool, I'm going to go ahead and place that underneath the sentiment here. Cute. All right, next we're going to go ahead and adhere our little coloring tools. I'm just going to use liquid glue for that. And then there's this adorable Follow Your Art embellishment kit. It comes with this awesome little box. There's 2 different colors of baker's twine. I'm going to use the Pacific Point. I'm also going to pick one of these felt shapes. Let's see, let's do the Blushing Bride. We'll use that little heart. It also comes with these adorable elements, these cute little heart charms that say "Made with Love" on them. How sweet is that? And I'm just going to cut a little piece of the baker's twine here. We'll tie a bow through the little charm. Okay, and then just using some mini glue dots here, I'm going to pick up 3 glue dots on the back of this felt heart. It's the Blushing Bride. Just center that over our really cute coloring tools here. Then I'm going to pick up a couple of glue dots and put them on the back of the heart charm. We don't really need to worry about the baker's twine. And I can center that on the heart. Oh, so cute. And I'm just going to grab a trio of Stampin' Dimensionals. And we're going to pop that off to the lower right here. And voila, there is our adorable Follow Your Art shadow box frame. I made a few versions. This was the version I made on my weekly Wednesday Facebook Live. Here's the original version, and how sweet would these be to give to your crafty friends? Just think of all the possibilities. You can use any of our product suites to get all kinds of different themes, and I just love what these look like. Just a beautiful little gift for someone. So thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss my next video. If you're interested in purchasing any of the Stampin' Up! Products I used today, they'll be linked in the description, and I'll also include a link to my detailed blog post with all project measurements, details, and a picture of the template. I'd love to have you come visit me at thepaperpixie.com, where I post projects every weekday to inspire you. I have options to subscribe to both my monthly newsletter as well as my daily blog updates, and I'd love to welcome you as a new subscriber. You can shop with me anytime at thepaperpixie.com/shop. And if you're interested in a discount on your Stampin' Up! Purchases, the starter kit is the ultimate bundle, and I'd love to welcome you to my team of Paper Pixies. You can purchase the starter kit at thepaperpixie.com/join. If you don't already have a demonstrator and you'd like a complimentary copy of one of our catalogs, I'd be happy to send one to you in the mail. You can submit a catalog request at thepaperpixie.com/catalogs. If you give this project a try, I'd love to see what you made, so feel free to share it on social media with the hashtag #PaperPixie, and I'll be sure to check it out. Thanks again for watching. I hope you have a wonderful and blessed day. Take care. Bye.